Welcome to the Boston Barrister, Kevin Patrick Sieber, bringing you insights about your family and the world.
This week on the Boston Barrister, I want to talk about we disagreed with a DCF social worker recently at a home visit. My client, there for the grace of God, guy, had a previous substance abuse problem. So DCF's on high C. They were on red alert. Allegation that my client hadn't brought the children to the doctors in a while, so there was an investigation regarding medical neglect. Also issues that my client hadn't spoken to the school since a few months past. Final issue was the urine screens. Take these issues one at a time, discuss them, and solve them. The challenges, the issues, and problems that parents face every day when it comes to DCF. How parents can solve challenges, issues, and problems with the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. The last thing you want to do is escalate a problem with DCF. It's a lose-lose. If you always want a win-win, you win, your children win, your family win, and DCF wins. And some say, oh, yeah, how do you do that, attorney? It's easy. It's easy. How? First of all, listen, and listen some more when DCF speaks. Your ears will never get you into trouble. Shut your mouth. Listen. Everyone, and that includes DCF, is to be treated with courtesy, kindness, and politeness. Regardless of how anyone treats you, do not lower yourself to their level. Always stay above the fray. What I do when DCF is not polite, kind, and courteous to me, Attorney Sieber. What you do when DCF is not kind, courteous, or polite to you is turn the other cheek. Listen, and listen some more, but do not respond. They may be looking to push your buttons. If you have what they call mental health problems or anger issues, being uncooperative, which I hear all the time. Don't fall for this. You are absolutely on stage, and they are judging you. Writing down everything and anything that has to do with you, your children, your home, and of course, the statements that you make. Again, listen, and shut your mouth. Less is more. Mouth will not get you into trouble unless you open it, and your ears will never get you into trouble. What parents should do when the school tells DCF that you haven't communicated with them in months. What you should do when you receive a report from DCF that the school is stating incorrect or erroneous information. Simple stuff. Clean it up. Go back through your emails. Go back through your texts. Go back through your phone and show that you've called them. Show that you got emails. Show that you texted them and they texted you, they emailed you. Do not, under any circumstances, miss a parent-teacher night. Involved with DCF, take copious notes. What do I mean by that? Write down a journal, everything you do and who you speak to and what their title is, and their name and their address and their telephone number and their email. Very simply put, you recreate whatever you did. He said my client hadn't spoken to the school or communicated with them in months. So simply put, we went back through the cell phone, the text messages, the emails. We also had on the calendar the parent-teacher night. And then my client went into the school, dropped the children off every day and picked them up at the end of the day and spoke to the principal, the vice principal, and the teachers all the time, including the school nurse. This was a false, bogus, and baseless allegation that was easy to destroy. Remember, you want to corroborate your story and destroy DCF's story. Simple stuff. And DCF doesn't want to get involved if they don't have to, so make it easy peasy for them. Get documentary evidence and also witnesses that can support your story. But I like documentary evidence because you can't argue with the phone logs, you can't argue with the text messages or the emails. What do parents do when it's claimed that they have done what's called medical neglect? What parents should do regarding medical neglect if the children have not seen the doctor in some time or they missed a visit is immediately reschedule the missed visit, calling the doctor, making sure you get through to not only the doctor but also the front desk, and get them to email you and you email them that same day about the missed visit and that you're rescheduling and you want to reschedule. What you're doing is you document. Usually I had a client that had to face this, and when she called me, I told her immediately, call the pediatrician, make a visit. I don't care if it's a month, 2 months, 3 months down the road. Get something in writing that you've made a visit. Then what you do is you put the doctor's office on notice that if there's any cancellations, they ought to call you and you will immediately bring your children or child to the doctor's appointment. I also suggest my clients to be aggressive. What do I mean by that? I would call the doctor's office every day at the beginning of the day, ask them, is there any cancellations? And if there is, would you be so kind? Here's my cell phone. Text me, email me, and call me, and I'll bring my children in right away. Get this all in writing so that when you speak to DCF and they come to investigate this alleged medical neglect, you've got documentation that that's just not true. Document. That is evidence and facts that are undisputable. In this recent case, When the investigator came out during the 51B DCF investigation, we had on record a date for the children to be seen by the pediatrician. And then the day the child was seen, we collected the records. And then I sent them to DCF indicating clearly that not only were the children seen, they're up to date medically, and they're fully immunized. What can parents do if they don't want to have their child fully immunized and they want to avoid trouble with DCF due to the non-immunization of their children? Parents can do when they're seeking not to have the child fully immunized and to avoid any hassles by DCF, get a waiver. What do I mean by a waiver? Well, there's different types of waiver. There's like a religious waiver, where under your U.S. constitutional rights, you have a right to freedom of religion. The practice of religion can include your disagreement with, under religious beliefs, that your child should be fully immunized for whatever reason. Your belief, not the government's. And when you implement and execute the religious belief waiver, DCF has no beef. They have no disagreement. They can't hold you to be neglectful and support a 51A against you. I want you to understand, let's foresee trouble. Let's stay away from trouble. You don't want DCF trouble. It can be a pain in the neck. And you're really doing DCF a favor when you avoid the trouble. And DCF gets that. The good social workers know that you've done the right thing, that you got the waiver, that it's religious belief, that you're not looking to harm or obfuscate the issue. You're dealing with it head on. You're saying, I have religious beliefs, I don't want my child immunized. There are also many pediatricians that will agree with that and also will disagree with immunizing children in certain ways. They won't come out and tell you that. But trust me, this one, off the cuff, I've had more than one tell me that. Along with, believe it or not, DCF social workers will tell you, I don't believe in immunization either. There's a debate going on in this country about how immunization may be causing autism. Now, I don't want to go into that murky waters, but you're entitled to your thoughts and your beliefs as parents. So exercise your constitutional rights, which is the religious freedom, not to have your child immunized. That's simple. Don't just say it. You got to get the waiver and implement and execute it. Be smart. Avoid DCF trouble. What parents can do to make sure that their urine screens are accepted by DCF is multifold. I had a client that was doing urine screens at an accepted licensed lab in Massachusetts. Everything's okay, right? Wrong. The DCF social worker was complaining that my client was doing the urine screens. Her name was Jackie, not a real name, but they weren't supervised. I'm like, huh? What do you mean nuts? Supervised. Well, the social worker said, well, not supervised by the lab. They can be manipulated, tampered with, controlled, and influenced. So I played Mickey the Dunce, which I'm real good at. My older brother says it comes natural to me. Thanks, Paul. But with that said, I didn't know what she was getting at. So I said, would you be so kind to give me an example of what you mean by that? Because I want to cooperate in the spirit of cooperation with DCF. We're doing the urine screens. We want to get credit for them, right? Makes sense. The social worker then said, well, in our policy and procedures and protocols, it states that blah, 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 blah. I said to the nice social worker, let's stop right there. I said, I want you to send me this policy, procedure, and protocol that says you must do blah, 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 blah with the urine screens. My reading, recognition, and understanding of the policy, procedures, and protocols of DCF does not call for any lab to follow DCF's policy, procedures, and protocols. These labs are licensed by the Commonwealth. The last thing they want to do is have their urine samples or any other testing that they do be manipulated, tampered, or influenced by the consumer who takes this test. But it also would cause them to become non-credible, which therefore nobody go to them in the future. You go to a drug lab to show that you're clean or not clean, one or the other. The social worker the next day emailed me back and apologized. And kudos to you. Accountability, ownership, and responsibility, that she was wrong. And I very kindly wrote her back, and I told her how I appreciated her honesty and her candor, and that I was looking to work with her in the spirit of cooperation. Now, with that said, they were saying my client was going in and doing urine screens that weren't being watched, weren't being supervised. Fair enough. I told my client that their concerns. Now, in many drug labs, they will take the temperature of the urine. And if the temperature goes below a certain degree, they know it's been tampered with. Why? Because your body has a temperature and a zone of what your urine will come out at. And so therefore, that urine should not be below a certain temperature. I know I'm getting the weeds here, but I've had arguments and discussions and disagreements with DCF and various courts on urine screens. One of the major issues is too much creatine, which all our bodies produce. And if you drink a lot of water, which I do every day, I've got these water over here called Snap Cats, and they're like 24 ounces. And I try to drink like 8 of these a day so that I drink my body weight, okay? And the reason for that is that our bodies, 80% are made up of water, and our brain, 85%. So the last thing you want to do is have deficiency in your water. Now I digress, and I'm sorry. But my client who had the urine screen, what I told her to do is do everything you can to have it supervised. Even to the point that if we have to, let's go have it done at the doctor's office where she would feel comfortable with a nurse or a female doctor watching her do her urine. In the lab, she said when they go in and have males, she feels very uncomfortable going to the bathroom, urine, with a male. I don't blame her. What's the highest cost of any business is the labor cost. So some drug labs have males and females, but some don't. And therefore, if you're a male lab technician, you shouldn't be in watching a female go urine. Even though they're professionals, some women feel very uncomfortable. I get it. I don't blame you. And vice versa, by the way. Some males don't like having a female technician watch them go to the bathroom. I get it. I agree with you. We solve the issue by having the individual go take a urine screen at the doctor's office. It's a DCF solution. Finally, there's a solution to every single challenge, issue, and problem on a daily basis for parents. Instead of fighting with DCF or arguing with them or disagreeing, you work it out. It's not that hard. And the way parents can solve their daily challenges, issues, and problems with Massachusetts Department of Children and Families is, first of all, your attitude, your behavior, and your conduct. Don't argue with DCF. Listen, and listen some more. Shut your mouth. Your ears will never get you in trouble, but your mouth will. Hear what they have to say. You can agree or disagree as ladies and gentlemen. You should always be polite, courteous, and kind. These are the first steps you should take. Keep an open mind. DCF's got a job to do. They got to protect children. They're supposed to also help families. Sometimes that's in conflict. Understand that. Also understand DCF's got a tough job. They're coming into a stranger's home, your home. They don't know who you are, don't know your children, and need to find out information to try and help you. That's an onerous task. So don't think in terms of me or you. Think in terms of we. We need to work together with everyone and everybody, not just DCF, but all the professional collaterals, the courts, the judges, the supervisors, the area program manager, your clinical manager, your director, and on and on and on. It's not easy for DCF. It's not easy for you as a parent, and it's not easy for your children. So don't add more conflict to this situation. Lessen it. Make the job of the social worker easy peasy, simple, easy, user-friendly. Get them the information that they need and they want. There's certain things you can do and should do and make life for the social worker easy. And then your life will be easier. It's like a mirror. When you smile in the mirror smiles back. Do this with DCF. Again, they got a tough job.